Somewhere in the North Sea, a man finishes a 12-hour shift covered in drilling fluid. He showers, changes into gym clothes, walks down a narrow corridor that smells like industrial cleaner and reheated lasagna, opens a steel door, and steps into a fully equipped CrossFit gym, built inside the hollow leg of an oil platform. He is standing inside a cylindrical steel column that extends hundreds of feet below the waterline. Outside that wall, black, freezing ocean. Inside, squat racks, spin bikes, free weights, a punching bag, and a handful of roughnecks doing deadlifts at 11 p.m. in the middle of the sea. This is what fun looks like when you live on an oil rig. And it is stranger, more inventive, and more human than you'd ever guess from the outside. There are roughly 1,470 offshore oil rigs operating around the world at any given time. Each one is a self-contained community. 100 to 200 people living and working in a space the size of a couple of football fields, surrounded by open ocean, operating 24 hours a day. Workers typically rotate on a schedule of 14 days on and 14 days off, or 28 and 28. During that on period, they work 12-hour shifts every single day. No weekends, no holidays, no leaving. Which means that every day for 2 to 4 weeks, a rig worker gets exactly 12 hours that belong to them. Subtract sleeping, eating, and showering, and what's left, maybe 4 or 5 hours, is all the free time they have. What they do with it is one of the most overlooked and oddly fascinating aspects of offshore life. The gym is the center of gravity. On almost every modern platform, the gym is the most popular room outside the galley. Some are modest, a few treadmills and a set of dumbbells in a converted storage room. Others are genuinely impressive. One tension leg platform in the Gulf of Mexico has a full CrossFit setup built into one of the platform's structural legs, complete with squat racks, rowing machines, and enough free weights to outfit a commercial fitness center. Norwegian rigs, which operate under some of the strictest welfare regulations in the offshore industry, often include saunas alongside their gyms. The obsession with fitness isn't vanity. Offshore work is physically brutal. Lifting, climbing, crouching in confined spaces for hours, and workers who let their conditioning slip feel it immediately. Offshore fire teams are required to maintain specific fitness levels, and even general crew members must pass periodic medical examinations that include BMI checks, blood pressure tests, and lung function assessments. Falling out of shape on a rig isn't just uncomfortable, it's a safety issue. But the gym also serves a psychological function that nobody writes into the wellness manual. It's the one place on the platform where workers have complete control over what they're doing. For 12 hours a day, every action is dictated by procedure, permit, and hierarchy. In the gym, they choose the weight, they set the pace, they control something. On a platform where personal autonomy barely exists, that matters more than any training program can explain. If the gym is the heart, the galley is the soul. Rig kitchens operate around the clock, serving 4 full meals a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a midnight meal for the night shift. The food, by almost every account, is better than it has any right to be. Dedicated catering crews prepare everything from scratch: roast dinners, seafood, fresh-baked desserts, curry nights, barbecues. On some rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, the kitchen traditions run deep. Red beans and rice on Mondays, fried fish on Fridays, ribeye steaks once a week grilled on shop-built pits that the rig welder fabricated from salvaged pipe, homemade banana pudding every single day. One former worker on an Australian rig described a Sunday tradition. The catering team would set up a seafood barbecue on the helideck, the open-air helicopter landing pad at the top of the platform. Workers would eat grilled prawns and fish while watching the sunset over open ocean, 200 miles from the nearest shoreline. For one meal a week, the industrial superstructure they lived and worked on briefly felt like something else entirely. The food matters disproportionately because it's one of the very few sensory pleasures available. There is no alcohol on any offshore platform, a strict universal rule. No bars, no beer with dinner, nothing. Workers who spend 28 consecutive days on a rig go an entire month without a single drink. The meals become the daily event that people look forward to. plan around, and talk about. A bad galley crew can tank morale faster than a mechanical breakdown. If you're enjoying this look at a world most people never see, hit the like button. It helps this kind of content find the people who actually want it. After the gym and the galley, recreation splits into a dozen different directions, and the particular flavor depends on the rig. Almost every platform has a recreation room, usually some combination of a TV lounge, a movie room, and a games area. Ping pong is wildly popular on offshore rigs, to a degree that would surprise anyone who hasn't worked on one. Dartboards are standard. Pool tables appear on most larger platforms. Card games and dominoes fill the quieter hours. Not organized, not scheduled. Just a few people who happen to be awake at the same hour, finding each other in a common room. Norwegian rigs tend to have the most generous amenities. The Safe Scandinavia, a semi-submersible accommodation vessel operating in the North Sea, offers workers a cinema, a sauna, social areas, an internet cafe, and a dedicated gym. Essentially, a floating hotel bolted to a drilling platform. Some newer rigs include driving simulators, video game consoles, and small libraries. The quality of these facilities is directly tied to national welfare regulations, and workers on Norwegian rigs will tell you the difference is noticeable. On older rigs, or rigs operating in less regulated regions, entertainment is more improvised. Workers bring personal hard drives loaded with movies and TV shows. Books get passed around until the spines crack. Guitars appear in bunk rooms. Some workers take up drawing. Others start fitness challenges or weight loss competitions that run the length of a rotation. One common tradition is the rig quiz, an informal trivia night organized by whoever has the energy and the personality to pull it together. Then there is the thing that nobody puts in the brochure, but every offshore worker knows about: the wildlife. Oil platforms are, by accident, some of the most productive artificial reefs on the planet. There are roughly 6,000 oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico alone, and scientists have estimated that these structures may provide as much as 30% of the Gulf's total reef habitat. The steel legs and crossbeams that disappear below the waterline become colonized within days of installation, first by coral and sponge larvae, then by small fish seeking shelter, then by larger predators following the food chain upward. The result is a thriving underwater ecosystem clustered around a structure that was never designed to support one. Workers see this from the surface. Dolphins ride the wake of supply boats approaching the platform. Sea turtles surface near the legs. Schools of fish mass in the floodlit water at night, dense enough to see from the deck. In the Gulf of Mexico, workers routinely watch sharks circling below the platform, dozens of them, drawn by the same reef effect that attracts everything else. On rigs off Western Australia, whale sharks, the largest fish on Earth, reaching up to 60 feet in length, have been documented using oil platforms as migratory stopover points, pausing to feed on plankton attracted by the platform's underwater lights. One particularly famous account from a Gulf rig described workers watching through a submerged viewing window as a giant octopus that had taken up residence in the platform's base began killing sharks. The octopus would grab them as they swam past and snap their spines. The crew watched it happen like a nature documentary playing on the other side of the glass. It went on for weeks. For workers stuck on a steel island with no control over when they leave, these encounters become genuine events. Whale sightings get announced over the PA system. Unusual fish get photographed and debated. Sunsets, and on a platform with 360 degrees of unobstructed ocean horizon, the sunsets are extraordinary. Become something that workers seek out deliberately, walking to the outer edges of the platform to watch the sky change color. One photographer who worked on North Sea rigs described shooting seascapes before dawn and after sunset as a coping mechanism, a ritual that gave structure and purpose to the hours that otherwise blurred together. The images became a way of marking time, proving that the days were actually passing, that the hitch would end. And that's the thing that sits underneath all of it. Every form of fun on an oil rig is, at some level, a strategy for managing time. The gym manages the body, but it also burns hours. The galley breaks the day into segments. The movie room provides a pocket of mental escape. The ping pong table creates a reason to interact with someone you're not required to work with. The sunset gives the day an ending, even though the rig itself never stops. Workers develop routines with an almost monastic discipline. Wake up, eat, work 12 hours, eat again. Gym, shower, call home. Watch a movie, sleep, repeat. The structure is the entertainment, the predictability is the comfort, and the small variations, a good meal, a whale sighting, a hard-fought ping pong match, are what keep the repetition from collapsing into something harder to bear. Before the age of Wi-Fi, the isolation was far more severe. In the 1970s and 80s, workers were limited to a single phone call per week, often capped at 6 minutes, routed through a microwave telephone network. Entertainment was whatever came through a standard broadcast antenna, which, on rigs off the Louisiana coast, sometimes meant nothing but a French-language Cajun music broadcast in the early morning hours. Books were currency. Boredom was a genuine occupational hazard. One worker described spending 5 fog-bound days on a jack-up rig off Cameron, Louisiana, with a single paperback novel. He read it twice. On day 4, he slept 18 out of 24 hours. Modern rigs have Wi-Fi, video calls, streaming services, and social media, all of which have transformed downtime in ways that are almost entirely positive. Workers FaceTime their kids at bedtime. They follow the news. They stay connected to a world that, for previous generations, essentially disappeared the moment the helicopter left the shore. But the connectivity has introduced something the older workers never dealt with: the ability to see, in real time, what you're missing. A birthday party, a school play, a partner's bad day that you can hear about but can't help with. The old rig workers missed things too, but they didn't have to watch them happen from a screen bolted to the wall of a shared cabin 150 miles from land. The fun, in the end, is real, but it exists inside a container. A steel container surrounded by ocean, governed by a schedule that no one on board controls. And the workers who thrive are the ones who learn to find genuine pleasure inside those constraints, who treat the gym like a temple and the galley like a restaurant, who notice the dolphins and photograph the sunsets and play ping pong like it matters, because on day 19 of a 28-day hitch, it does. If you want to keep going into the hidden lives behind the systems that keep the modern world running, subscribe. And if you've worked offshore or know someone who has, drop a comment, because the best stories from out there never make it past the helideck.